Hey, you guys, this is Christina with leadsandleverage.com. How are you today? I hope everyone's doing well. It's the middle of July. I cannot believe it's the middle of July. And, you know, I'm excited. There's a lot going on. I can't believe the year's halfway done and we have half more to go. So we have a lot to do. And again, I'm Christina with leadsandleverage.com and I am coming at you with another episode of The Ribbit Show. So thank you for joining me. And if you're watching this in a replay, would you please do me a favor and below here, put a comment in and let me know that you're watching this in replay and where you're watching this from. Hey, Lisa, and where you're watching this from. And let me know just that you're here. I like to know that you guys are here. It's awesome to see you guys and talk to you and get to know you and help you. That's the big thing. It's really great. Hey, Mary. So today we're going to be talking about, basically I got a question from an agent. Or actually, it wasn't even really a question. It was more of a concern. And she said, you know, I'm terrified to spend money in the wrong place. And that really stood out to me. And I really want to help you guys with that. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you places where you should be spending your money. Hey! Thanks, you guys. And if you're watching this live, just like Mary did, if you would pop below and comment and let me know that you're here live, that would be great. And let's see, I didn't prep a question of the day. What should the question of the day be today? Let me see. You know what? I want to know, first of all, I want to know that you're here and where you're from. And I would love to know what your favorite outdoor activity is. What do you like to do most outdoors? If you guys are connected with me on my personal profile today, you know, the whole Pokemon Go thing is super popular and I like games. I tend to like games that I can do in little 3-minute chunks of time because sometimes I just need a brain break for a minute or I'm waiting in line or something. And that's really the only time I play games. So I thought, oh heck, I'll try this Pokemon Go thing. So I downloaded the app and I tried it in my house and I was like, okay, now what? And it's nighttime and they want me to go out walking. I'm like, in order to play this game, I just want to play this game for 3 minutes and I got to go out and spend a half hour doing something else unrelated. So I think it's great that everybody's doing all this, saying it's getting a lot of people out exercising and stuff, but it's just distracting us all, just like TV. So the joke was, we were walking into Walmart yesterday, my husband had to get I don't know, something from the pharmacy. And so we walked in, before we walked into Walmart, I go, oh, I should pull out my phone. I downloaded Pokemon Go. Maybe there's a Pokemon around here. And then I pulled my phone out and went, oh, that's right, I deleted it. My husband's like, what? Why? I said, because it needs me to go outside to find these Pokemons and I don't have time for that. And he was dying. He thought that was funny. So I shared that on my Facebook page because I just thought, I think it's great. I think there's local businesses really can do this. I'm not sure of all the tech involved, you guys, but here's a tip for that Pokemon Go thing. If you're doing an open house this weekend or say next weekend, my suggestion might be, now be very careful because you don't necessarily want everybody coming in, but my suggestion might be to somehow leverage that and create a Pokemon Go stop. Make sure it's not in the house. The owners may not like it. Just there's some privacy concerns there, safety concerns there, but I would check into it because it is driving traffic. It's driving sales. So it is working. Mary says, my favorite outdoor activity is Pokemon Go for sure. That's funny. Don't shop at Walmart. Well, we go there for pharmacy stuff, sometimes. But it's just the closest place to us for that kind of stuff. But it was funny because I walked in the door and this particular Walmart, their school supply section is right inside the door. And I forgot it was back to school. Three of my kids, 2 of them are in college. One's done with his trade school and the third one we homeschool. So I forget what time of year it is. And I walk in and I just stop dead. And my husband was just like, oh no, because I'm like kind of a school supply fiend. And I showed on Facebook that I got a couple and I love these composition notebooks they're pretty and I kind of like that stuff. So, you know, I'm going to go back to look for more supply stuff. You really? Oh, okay. As if I could, it won't let me. It's totally about Pokemon Go. Yeah, there's some way to create a Pokemon Go stop. So I didn't want to get too much into that. I just know it's happening and I know it's new and I know you can do that. So that's awesome. I know in your neck of the woods, Mary, it's really hot. So I can't even imagine going out and doing Pokemon Go outside right now. You would melt. Lisa's like, I'm here. My favorite outdoor activity is riding my bike with my husband. That's fun too. I like that one. Awesome. Hi, Alexander. So what's your favorite outdoor activity? And for us, we have a few. We love to go hiking, and not like super mountain hiking. We're not that's not crazy, but that's not us. We love to go hiking. We really like to go. There's a place that we like to go, several places along the water, because then the kids go cliff jumping. So, into the water. So we like that. That's one of the things we love to do outdoors. So, today we're going to talk about being terrified of spending money in the wrong place. And I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm going to talk to you guys about how to analyze and how to find the right places to spend money. But first, we need to kind of touch on the underlying element to what's being said there, the underlying thought process, the underlying beliefs in that. So today, if you're terrified to spend money in the wrong place, there's a couple of things that I want to just kind of question you about. I want you to self-analyze. These are going to be a little bit rough questions, but I'm not saying them to accuse you. I'm not saying them to like call you out. What I want you guys to do is think this through and be open-minded to how maybe your underlying thought process that's going on here. Okay. When you say that. So I'm terrified to spend money in the wrong place. So first of all, here are some thoughts that I had. Are you terrified to spend money when you aren't going to implement? Are you terrified to spend money because you're afraid you don't know what the results will be? Are you terrified to spend money because you have a money mindset issue? What I'm going for this, you guys, is that a lot of times what's very interesting is our money mindset. And I know that's a phrase du jour and everybody's talking about it, but our money mindset is really important. And we need to know how we think about money and how we deal with money. I'm not talking about, now I want to preface all this. I'm a Dave Ramsey fan, so I do not agree with debt. I also do not agree with deprivation on purpose. So if you have income coming in and you can give yourself spending money, or you can do some testing, or you can do things like that, you need to be doing that. I'm not saying that you just need to not spend. So being for no debt does not mean being for no spending. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. So your money mindset, what I find interesting, this is not scientific data, this is just my own observations. What I find interesting is when real estate agents talk about, I'm afraid to spend money, their fear is disproportionate to the amount of money they're thinking about spending. What do I mean by that? Well, oftentimes we're presented with a lot of marketing ideas or a lot of advertising options, okay? And if the marketing idea or the advertising option is, first of all, part of something that everyone's doing, okay? So like every agent you see, or you think you see every agent doing it, it's part of what they're already doing. Regardless of the cost, we'll spend it. We're not as fearful to spend it because we think somebody's gone before us and they're doing it. The second thing by disproportionate is that oftentimes it's the smaller the amount of money that we're thinking of investing, the more we analyze it. So for example, if you're going to do, you've got a local magazine. We have a gorgeous couple gorgeous local magazines. I live in an area that it's 40% non-owner occupied. We have a lot of wealth here, but it's not disproportionately wealthy. There's just a lot of wealth here. And so there are magazines for they have custom furniture, custom building, like high-end, beautiful custom stuff. And these magazines promote this. And so if you're a luxury real estate agent, a lot of luxury real estate agents really want to advertise in this magazine. So one of the things is, it's a few $1,000s to advertise on a page in that magazine. And we just kind of don't analyze the results. We disproportionately are okay with spending $1,000 or $2,000 on that kind of advertising or marketing. But when it comes to investing $10 a day for 10 days in a Facebook ad, we're like, oh, I'm terrified to spend that money. So we have a perception that we need to really analyze and dig in. And so that's where I want you guys to go with this, is really analyze and dig in. What's that perception? Is it because everyone else is doing this, so I feel safer, so I'm not going to question that one as much, but I don't see as many people doing this, so over here. Or, so I call it related to the herd. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. So don't take that in a bad thing, but doing something different seems a little bit scarier. And I also call it, being disproportionate in our analysis. See, Charles says, have you heard of GrantWise Agent Mastery Marketing? He charges $1,500 for his Facebook marketing system. Glad I found you first. I've heard of him, just by name, because his ads pop up because I'm an agent. So his ads pop up, but I don't follow him. I don't know anything about what he does. This is something else. And this is a little secret. Thank you for bringing that up, Charles. This is a little secret, you guys. One of the things that we do in real estate is we tend to look at what our colleagues are doing. Okay, so this is the same thing. I mean, I appreciate that Grant brought this up. That Charles brought this up about Grant. I don't know who he is. I've never met him. I've never read anything that he's written. I've never followed him. So I have no idea what he offers at all. I don't follow anybody who kind of works in the same space that I do. I don't look to my colleagues to see what they're doing, because I have my message and I have what I've experienced and how I want to help you guys. And so I'm not going to let someone else pollute that. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means it's different. I don't want to pollute my message, what my passion is and how I know and think that I can help you guys. So as real estate agents, how does that apply to you? I really appreciate you bringing this up, Charles. How does this apply to you guys? It applies to you guys. Stop looking at your colleagues. Stop watching what they're doing. Look outside the industry and look at what's actually happening, what's actually working, what's actually getting results. And by results, I don't mean traffic. And by results, I don't mean likes, and I don't mean comments, and I don't mean shares, and I don't mean engagement. I don't mean awareness. By results, I mean closings to the closing table, because that's why you're in real estate. So don't look to your colleagues. So thank you. That was like a segue, what Charles said, but thank you for bringing that up. So here's where you need to be spending money. Okay, so let's, surprise, surprise, I'm not going to say you need to spend it on Facebook ads and you need to spend it on print advertising, you need to spend it on direct mails. That's not what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is teach you how to analyze your business and analyze what's going to work for you and decide where you need to be spending money, because it's different for each one of us. We all have different budgets. We all have different price points that our closings are at. We all have different GCI, gross commission income. We all have different. Some of us are doing 150 transactions a year, and some of us haven't done our first one yet. So here's where it is. First of all, you need to spend money. This is really it. You need to spend your money where you are willing to test, track, analyze, and tweak. So, and I want to come up with all T's on that, but you need to spend where you're going to test, where you're willing to test, where you're willing to track it, where you're willing to analyze it, and where you're willing to tweak it. So let's go into this. Testing it. Okay. Everything's a test. If you're kind of going out into a new market, if you're going to follow the herd, we tend to spend our money on things like, I'm trying to say things without calling out vendors because I don't want to do that. We tend to spend our money on things that we see at trade shows. Like we'll go to a conference and we'll see somebody and maybe they've got 10,000 or 15,000 or 20,000 agents that are paying them 50 or 100 or 200 or $300 a month to use their service. Okay. So like Zillow or Realtor.com or Julia. And we think, okay, well, everybody's doing it. That's where I need to be. So I should be doing it. But we don't actually analyze the results. We listen to what they say, or we try it and say we didn't get anything, or we don't actually try, just all this stuff. So if you're not willing to test something and test before you actually spend the money, test it, check it out. Don't just talk to the top agents and don't just talk to the ones that they say are doing it. Talk to people that you see are using it, that they're maybe not recommending or they're not saying are testimonials. Talk to those people. Same with me. If you see members in our Facebook Domination Secret Group that are just in there, talk to them. Ask them, what's happening? How's it working for you? What are you implementing? What are you not doing? That's the second piece. You have to realize that when you're going to spend your money somewhere, you need to be accountable to that. And I think that's part of the reason that we're afraid is that we don't necessarily want to be accountable. I'm not saying you need to be accountable for if you screw up. That's not the point. I'm not saying that you need to be like berate yourself if you spend money somewhere that doesn't turn out the way you want it to turn out. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is a lot of times we just want to spend the money and then turn around and do something else. We'll just spend the money, we'll let them do it, and then we move somewhere else. And that's where we end up spending money that we should be afraid of spending. that we shouldn't be spending. That's where we really screw up. That's where we really kind of waste money. We spend it on these things and these vendors and these processes and these different things that we think are going to automate something, or we think they're just going to, be a pipeline for us, and they're not. So we need to test that. We need to analyze that before. The second thing is, when you are spending money, if you're spending it on training, for example, I do training. That's what I do. I teach you how to fish. That is my goal. If I just threw a fish at you, it wouldn't help you, because eventually you have to restock the lake. And so then you run out of fish, or eventually a predator comes along. I need to teach you how to fish so you can go to anywhere you want to go and you can fish. That's my goal. When you go through a training, make yourself implement. That is a huge thing. So you're not afraid to spend money if you're willing to implement. And I said this earlier, that a lot of times the reason we're afraid to spend money is because, it's because we know we really aren't going to implement. We aren't committed to the implementation process. Before I purchase a class, before I go through and think, okay, this person's offering lipstick. This person's offering this class. First of all, I look through, for me to spend money on, first of all, I look through and go, okay, does this class offer something in a gap that I'm currently experiencing that I need help with? 2, am I going to actually implement? So I need to look at my calendar and I need to put it on my schedule. If it's not on my schedule, I'm not going to implement. So I need to implement. And 3, I need to stay committed to this. So whatever you're doing, if you're going through trainings and you're spending money on trainings, you need to implement. No training is going to help you if you don't implement. It's really that simple. So you need to schedule it in. So you need to, when you are spending money, so for example, let's just do Facebook ads. If we're spending money on Facebook ad, first of all, there are some standards that you can follow. For example, when you're running a brand new ad, I highly recommend that you do budget your ad at $10 a day for 10 days, not $100 over 10 days, $10 per day for 10 days. Now, there's a reason for all this, and I get into this in all the different trainings, but there's a reason for all this. You're evenly distributing the funds over the course of a period of time so that you can analyze the ad. Know that your first $100 that you spend on an ad is a test. You have to know that. You're paying for the data. You're paying to analyze. You're paying to know if your ad works or not. A lot of us will just do an ad and throw it up and put $500 at it, and it flops. And we're mad because we spent $500, but you need to run tests. So you need to test what you're doing first. And you can do that on Facebook ads. It's awesome. You can do it on Twitter ads. You can do it on all those different ads, YouTube ads. You can do it on Google ads. You can do all those. These ads, you can test them. Okay. You want to get results. You want to get appointments. You want to get opt-ins. That's what you want to get, is opt-ins. So you need to test. The second piece, you need to track. You need to track it. You need to make sure. You can't just go, well, I got so many likes. Or I'm not really worried about opt-ins. I just want to get exposure. Guys, you can't track exposure. Exposure sucks. Don't do it. Is that strong enough for you? Exposure, name brand, name recognition, those are all secondary benefits. We need to be, if we're going to pay money to drive people or to get to people, we need to get them to take an action that puts them into a place that we can then retarget them, where we can then connect with them again. We don't do it for exposure. And that's what we talk about. You can't track exposure. So you need to be able to track it. So you need to be able to test it and track it. Test it before you do the ad. So test other people, and then test after you do the ad. And then 3, track it. And then you need to be able to have all that track stuff. But then you also need to analyze. You need to really analyze the data, really go through what worked, what didn't. And this is the part that a lot of us really don't like to do, because we really consider ourselves not techie or not numbersy or, not whatever. We just want to outsource that. And you know what? You're the CEO of your real estate business. And as the CEO, you get the beauty of being everyone. Meaning you don't have a CFO, you don't have a COO, you don't have a CTO, you don't have a CIO. You are it. You are that person. And so you need to know what's going on. You can absolutely outsource the tasks, the implementation tasks, but you've got to understand the strategy and whether they should continue those tasks. You need to know that. You need to know how to analyze that. You need to be able to, in a sense, it's called forecasting and checking back and making sure it's going to work. You need to be able to analyze. And then the final thing about spending money, you need to adjust. So if you spend that $100 and that ad, $10 a day over 10 days, and you're like, wow, that ad brought me in 30 opt-ins and 2 of those became appointments. That was $100 for 2 appointments. That was $50 per appointment. So that's actually pretty good. You got an appointment with them. That's actually, depending on your price range, if you have a very low price range, that may not be good. You need to know how much you're willing to spend per lead. The appointment or the opt-in is the lead because they gave you their contact information, and then the appointment, then the closing. So if you know that for every 2 appointments you get a closing out of it, then that ad for $100 was totally worth it if you know those numbers. So you need to know those numbers, but you need to be able to make adjustments. If you spent $100 and you got a whole bunch of people looking at your ad, like maybe you got likes or you got, reach or whatever, but you didn't get any opt-ins, there's a problem. You need to rework it. You need to fix it. And that's what, inside Facebook Domination Secret, that's some of the trainings that I have in there is how to analyze what you're doing. Is it working? Is it not? If you get this reach out there, but you don't get opt-ins, what's wrong? And there's some very specific things that right off the top, I could tell you what's probably wrong with that ad without even looking at the ad. So just be aware of that. You need to be able to test. You need to be able to track. You need to be able to analyze, and you need to be able to tweak. And you just need to change. The biggest thing is changing your mindset. Don't follow the herd. Don't follow the herd. Look at what you research and find out what's going to work for you and do it, and ignore everyone else. There is a quote that I absolutely love, and I'm going to get it for you. It's actually I'm going to quote this person. It's a quote that I never know. I can't find out who actually has this quote. It was up in my office, my dad's office when I started working with him in 1995. And it was just, we loved it. It was, I did it in calligraphy for him and put it up there, but it was, if you want to be average, do what everyone else is doing. If you want to be above average, do the opposite. So don't follow the herd because the herd's going that direction. In some cases, yes, you want to. There's safety in numbers. At the same time, some members of the herd have found much greener pastures by not following the herd. So this gentleman, Andy Andrews, actually has a very good kind of closing phrase that I want to give you guys. And it's just a series of about 4 different quotes from him. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, you are doing something wrong. Why? Because most people are not obtaining the results that are considered extraordinary. If your thinking is causing you to do what everyone else is doing, you are only contributing to the average. Even if you are contributing to the average at a high level, it is still average. Do you want to be average? Do you want an average lifespan or an average lifestyle? Do you want an average marriage? Do you want to raise average children? Do you want an average spiritual life? Do you want average financial results? Do you want an average amount of influence for good in your community? To produce results that are extraordinary, you cannot afford to think like average people think. Don't follow your colleagues, you guys. You cannot act like average people act. You cannot be what average people are, which is normal. So really start with your mindset. Start with your mindset. What are you afraid of? Why are you fearing spending money? Okay. Why? But don't just get, well, I don't have money to waste. Now get farther down than that. Why? Do you know in your gut that something won't work? Are you afraid in your gut it won't work? Do you think it's too new? Are you uncomfortable with the risk? Where is that? Are you putting this same fear proportionately across everything? Are you spending $5 every day at the coffee place, but you have a fear of spending $10 a day for 10 days to test an ad? There's a money mindset issue here, guys. Stuff that you're very aware of that initial ad test, but you're not aware of the, 5 times 30? That's a lot of money that you're spending other places. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be spending that, but our fear is not proportionate, and it's not applicable, evenly distributed over everything. So we need to know that. Just don't relate yourself to the herd. Don't be the herd. Think through your money mindset, find out what's going on inside, and then do what I told you. When you're going to go spend money, test, track, analyze, and tweak. So TTAT, that's what you need to do. Hey, Jamie. I was busy talking to you guys. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Thank you guys so much for joining me. I love this. I love that you guys joined me. I love that you're here. Let me know your thoughts. If you have questions, I'd like to help you with them. And if you're watching this in live or replay, comment below and let me know if you have questions about something unrelated to today's topic. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did you analyze yourself and say, yeah, I'm dealing with XYZ? Did you know, one of the things that I got over many years ago was always going for the freebies. So afraid to spend money. And we always say that real estate agents are notoriously looking for freebies. I got over that a long time ago. And I got over that because what I found was not all freebies, in fact, most freebies don't actually do what I need them to do. So what I started looking at was, you know what? I want the doobies. I want the things that are going to actually do what I'm going to do, and I'm willing to pay for them, which is why I pay for Evernote, which is why I'm paying for Evernote's increased cost when that comes around next year when I pay my annual thing. I love Evernote. I use it. I'll pay for it, which is why I pay for Amazon Prime, which is why when Amazon Prime raised from $79 to $99, I willingly paid it because I use it. I'm okay with that, you know, which is why I pay a monthly fee for our email marketing company, our service, which is why I pay for et cetera, et cetera. I'm not willing to build my business on freebies. I want to build my business on doobies. And I know that sounds funny. I'm not talking about a pot or whatever, you know, a cigarette. I don't live in Washington or Colorado. I live in Idaho. But you know what I mean. A doobie, like a free B-I-E. So anyway, you guys, if you have questions, thoughts, comment them below. My husband's in the back. What's he smirking, laughing, giving me a bad time because I said doobie. Yeah, it's like Beavis and Butthead. Boys are always like that. Of course, I'm like that too. So what does that say about girls? Oh, well. Anyway, any other questions, you guys? Thoughts? Input? Got quiet all of a sudden. Got quiet a lot. I'm looking on here. See if there are any other comments on here that I am not catching on the phone. Okay, Lisa's thinking of trying Vulcan 7 for expireds. How do I feel comfortable spending that money? By making sure I follow through? Yeah, so what I would do, now I don't know what behind the scenes Vulcan 7 offers, but almost every vendor offers a training and here is what you need to do. Okay, to implement. So what I would do is, yeah, that's the way you spend comfortable. You give it your all. You think of it as a test, but you make that test legitimate. You make that test real. So you spend the money, go through the trainings and implement and do what they say to do. Everything. Don't compromise on it. And if you have tried it, say 3 months, and you've actually done everything, not just said I tried it once and did it. And I don't think that's your personality, Lisa. I just want to, you know, a lot of us say we tried something or we did something and we do it once and we don't actually keep doing it because we don't get instant results. And that's understandable. It's a problem, but it's understandable. So make sure you implement. Find out other people who are successfully using Vulcan 7. And ask them, interview them, you know, what are you doing? How are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Ask them, find out what they're doing and see how you can implement that into your business. So just make sure you're committed to the training that they offer and committed to the implementation. That is the big thing. That is, I mean, I think that every single vendor out there has something that could conceivably work. The problem is that we just don't implement. We don't go through their trainings consistently and we don't implement it consistently over time. It takes phone calls, which I really have to psych myself out for. Now, I know you, Lisa. Lisa's one of our members. You don't like doing phone calls. So why are you looking at Vulcan 7? So if you don't like doing phone calls and you're like, oh, I'm going to have to completely change how I like to do things to use this thing, why don't you find something else that would help you how you like to do things so that you're more likely to follow through. So you're more likely to keep doing that implementation. And then you don't have to be worried about the money that you're spending because you're willing to do the work. You're willing to do that implementation. There are always things that we don't love to do, you guys. I get that. But we need to also work with our human nature. If you've ever read the book, this is a fabulous book. It's Profit First. He also wrote The Pumpkin Plan, and he just wrote a new one. I can't remember. Surge. It's by Michael Michalowicz, I think. One of the things he talks about in Profit First is why do we keep trying to force ourselves to go against our human nature in everything? Why don't we work with our human nature so that we're successful, so that we're more likely to implement? So if you hate making phone calls, I would find something else. I would find something else to help get listings, which is your goal. So there you go, both sides. Implement. So if you're someone who likes making phone calls or doesn't mind making phone calls, or it's not inconceivable to you to say, hey, I'm going to make, 50 phone calls every single day, no matter what, and you'll stick with that, great. But if you're psyching yourself up and kind of pretending to yourself that you'll stick with it when you know you hate it and you don't do it now, same concept. I do believe I do a great job with expireds and I know phone calls work. Okay, so you do a great job with expireds. You can prospect them another way without using the phone call process. Now remember, the phone call process, it's all one hit. One hit. You get one chance at them because you're just talking to them that one time. There are other ways to build know, like, and trust relationships that are easier. So you might want to do some drop-bys or with consistent follow-up via snail mail to expireds. That's what we did. I hated phone calls. I knew I was not going to be a phone call person like that. So that's what we did. In fact, I didn't even do the drop-bys. I just did direct mail. But I had a direct mail system, and yes, it costs money, but so does Vulcan 7, and so does all these other things. I set it up to where they got something from me the day they went expired, and then every so many days, I can't remember the exact system, but within 3 to 4 weeks, they got 8 to 10 things from me in the mail, all things that helped them. Not promo, all things that helped them. And then they were immediately put on our consistent follow-up. Twice a month, we mailed them. We converted a lot of expireds. Didn't have to make a single phone call. They called me. And that worked for me. Now, it takes money to do that because you have to do the direct mail and you have to be consistent. You have to keep doing it. But I would much rather do that than make phone calls. I'll stick to that. I will do that. So what are you, not just you, Lisa, but what are you going to do? When you go to think about spending money on something, if it's something that, well, I know this works, but I hate doing that part of it. I hate doing that. And I don't do that now. You can test it and just know that it's going to be a test. If you're not willing to just make yourself do it and you just don't like it, then there are other options. But if you're like, you know what, I want to do this. I want to change this about myself. I want to do this piece of it, then go for it. Test it. Definitely test it, but know it's a test, and know that if you don't commit and you don't do it and you don't have yourself trained that no matter what you're going to do that, then it's not going to work for you. So you need to make sure that you have trained yourself and that you're training yourself to create that habit that regardless of how you feel about it, you still do it. So it's totally different. I knew I wasn't going to make phone calls. I knew I was not willing to change myself to do it. At all. I was willing to work the same or more amount of times doing other types of prospecting, which is what I did. So, or lead generating, which is what I did. So that's totally up to you. Again, I'm giving you different perspectives, totally up to you how you want to do it. Just make sure that when you are going to invest money in something that you are going to implement it and you're actually going to put it on your calendar and you're actually going to do it, or you will be disappointed and you're going to set yourself up for another mindset fear of spending money on future endeavors, if that makes sense. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. Awesome. Any other questions, you guys? Thoughts? Comment. Let me know you're here, where you're from, and your favorite outdoor activity. Mary's was Pokemon Go. I love that. What's your favorite outdoor activity? And I'm going to wrap this up in just a few minutes. Maybe in 1 minute or less. So if you have any other questions, let me know. If I don't catch them, if I close this episode of the Ribbit Show out, go ahead and comment below. I come back, I say hi, I respond, I take your questions and I use them for future Ribbit Show episodes. All right, you guys? Outdoor plays. Oh yeah, outdoor concerts, like symphonies and park. I like that kind of stuff too, Alexander. That's awesome. Yeah, and I know some people live in outdoor areas where you can spend more time throughout the year outdoors, and some don't. I know that, and that goes both ways. That goes from hot winter to hot summers. So I know we can't all be out all the time, but for us, it's pretty much year round. It gets cold in the winter, but it's not like it's not Arctic. It's just cold. Snowy. Any other questions, you guys? Awesome. I loved spending time with you guys today. I'm going to come at you tomorrow with another one, and I can't remember what the topic is. Oh, I know what it is. We're going to talk about emails. We're going to talk about emails. We're going to talk, what do you email people? How do you choose content for your email campaigns? If I'm going to send blog posts, what else am I supposed to send? We're going to talk about email marketing tomorrow. Go into that. I'm going to give you some things that you can do right away that will help get you results right away. All right, you guys, thank you for joining me today. I will see you guys tomorrow with another Ribbit episode. Talk to you later.